You know what the problem is with overwhelming military superiority? It makes you stupid. Really, genuinely, catastrophically stupid. And I should know, because I was there when the Kalthoran Empire, the most advanced civilization in the Andromeda sector, decided to test their forces against a backwater planet called Earth. My name is Rex, and I served as a tactical analyst for the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet. Before you judge me too harshly, understand that I tried to warn them. I really did. But when you have conquered 47 star systems without breaking a sweat, you tend to stop listening to the nervous analyst who keeps pointing at gravitational readouts and making worried clicking sounds. The whole disaster started 6 months before the actual incursion, when our long-range scouts detected Earth, beautiful planet, really, blue and green, wrapped in white clouds, sitting in what the humans call the Goldilocks zone, perfect for colonization, perfect for stripping resources, perfect for adding another jewel to the Empire's crown. Commander Thax, bless his arrogant hide, was absolutely thrilled. "Look at this, Rix," he said, his 4 eyes gleaming with that particular shine that meant someone was about to make a terrible decision. Primitive civilization, barely reached their own moon, still using chemical rockets for space travel. This will be the easiest conquest in Imperial history. I was studying the preliminary data, and something was making my sensory frills itch. "Commander, have you looked at the gravitational measurements?" "Gravity?" He waved one of his primary appendages dismissively. "What about it?" "Well, sir, Earth registers at approximately 9.8 meters per second squared. That is significantly higher than standard." Axe laughed. Actually laughed. The sound echoed through the command deck like rocks in a tumbler. "Rix, you worry too much. We have defeated species on high-gravity worlds before. Remember the Grontax campaign." "Sir, Grontax Prime was 7.2 meters per second squared. Earth is nearly 40% higher than that." 40%. He made that dismissive gesture again. "Negligible. Besides, our exosuits are rated for up to 12 meters per second squared. We have a comfortable margin." Now, here is where I made my first mistake. I should have screamed. I should have thrown my data tablet at his head. I should have done something more dramatic than simply saying, "Sir, I recommend additional testing before we commit ground forces." "Additional testing," he repeated, as if I had suggested we surrender to the primitives. "Rix, we are the Kalthoran Empire. We do not need additional testing to handle a species that still watches entertainment on flat screens." The other officers on the bridge chittered their agreement. I was outvoted, outranked, and out of options. 3 months later, we arrived in Earth's solar system. The humans had not detected us yet, which was not surprising given their primitive sensor technology. We maintained our position behind their moon, conducting surveillance and planning our initial demonstration of force. The plan, such as it was simple. Land a strike force in what the humans called Washington, D.C., their primary administrative center, demonstrate our technological superiority, accept their surrender. Standard operation, executed hundreds of times across dozens of worlds. Lieutenant Kryn was chosen to lead the first landing party. She was one of our best, a veteran of 12 campaigns, decorated for valor in combat. She stood at attention in the deployment bay, her exosuit gleaming under the harsh lights, her weapon charged and ready. "Kryn," Commander Thax addressed her formally, "you have the honor of being the first Kalthoran to set foot on Earth. Make us proud." "I will not fail, Commander," she said, her voice steady. I was monitoring from the operations center, every screen in front of me showing different data streams, heart rates of the landing party, atmospheric composition, wind speed, and yes, gravitational readings. Still sitting at that worrying 9.8 meters per second squared. "Sir," I tried one last time. "Should we not send a probe first, just to verify conditions?" "Riggs," Thax said, his patience clearly wearing thin. "We have sent probes. We have collected data. We have analyzed everything there is to analyze. Now we act. Deploy the landing party." The transport ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, a sleek needle of Kalthoran engineering slicing through the blue sky. It was early morning in Washington, D.C., and the humans were just beginning their daily routines. They had no idea what was about to happen. Neither did we, but for very different reasons. The transport touched down on the large green space the humans called the National Mall. The rear door hissed open, the ramp extended, and Lieutenant Kryn took her first step onto Earth's soil, and immediately collapsed. I mean completely, utterly collapsed. One moment she was standing proud and tall, the next she was flat on the ground, and I could hear the sounds coming through her comlink. Sounds I will never forget. The wet cracking noises, the wheeze of air being forced from her lungs, the grinding of bone fragments. Kryn, Thax shouted, "Report! What is happening?" "Sir," she gasped. And even through the calm distortion I could hear the agony. I cannot. My legs. Oh gods, they broke, sir. They just broke under me." The second soldier tried to help her. His name was Ven, I think. Big guy, strong even by Caltheran standards. He stepped off the ramp, made it 2 whole steps before his knees buckled and he went down hard. The sound his body made hitting the ground was like dropping a bag of broken glass. "Abort!" I was shouting at my console. "Abort the landing! Get them out of there!" But it was too late. The entire squad had already disembarked, confident in their training and equipment, and one by one they were dropping. Some made it a few steps. Some collapsed immediately. One soldier tried to crawl back to the transport and gave up after his arms gave out. The exosuits were rated for 12 meters per second squared. Sure, but that assumed the Caltheran body inside could handle the stress too, and Caltherans, like most species in the Andromeda sector, evolved on worlds with gravity in the 6 to 7 meter per second squared range. We were watching our elite soldiers being crushed by their own body weight. "Get the medical team ready," Ox ordered, his voice shaking. "Emergency extraction now." The transport pilot, to his credit, did not panic. He brought the ship down flat on the ground, extended the loading arms, and started dragging the fallen soldiers back into the cargo bay. The humans were starting to notice now. I could see them on the surveillance feeds, pointing and shouting and pulling out their communication devices. "Sir," I said quietly, "we have a problem." "I can see we have a problem, Vrix," Frax snapped. "Our soldiers are injured." "No, sir. I mean we have a larger problem. The humans are recording this." And they were. Dozens of them, standing at a safe distance with their primitive cameras, capturing every moment of our humiliating failure. Within minutes, this would be on their information network. Within hours, the entire planet would know. The Calthoran Empire, terror of the Andromeda sector, conqueror of 47 worlds, had just been defeated by gravity. We pulled the transport back up to the fleet in orbit. The medical bay was a scene of chaos. 14 soldiers, every single one with compound fractures, shattered tibias and femurs, crushed vertebrae. Lieutenant Kryn had a broken pelvis in 3 places. Dr. Mix, our chief medical officer, looked at me with all 4 eyes wide. "Rix, what happened down there? It looks like they were beaten with heavy clubs." "They were," I said, "by planet Earth itself." Commander Thax was in his private quarters, probably contemplating how to explain this to High Command. I was left to deal with the immediate aftermath, which included monitoring Earth's communication networks. It was, in a word, spectacular. The humans had given our landing attempt a name within 3 hours. They were calling it the flop. Videos of our soldiers collapsing were being shared billions of times, set to their primitive music, edited into comedic sequences. Some creative human had added sound effects that made our warriors sound like squeaky toys. But here is what really terrified me. Mixed in with all the humor and mockery, there were other voices, military analysts, scientists, people who understood exactly what had happened and what it meant. One human, a scientist with the improbable name of Margaret Finnegan, was being interviewed on their broadcast networks. What we witnessed today is a clear demonstration that any hostile species attempting to invade Earth will face a significant physiological disadvantage. Earth's gravity is high compared to most potentially habitable worlds. Life here evolved to handle stresses that would incapacitate beings from lighter gravity environments. Another human, a military officer named General Harold Briggs, was even more direct. Those aliens landed expecting easy conquest. Instead, they found out that every human on this planet is effectively a super soldier compared to them. Our children can lift weights that would cripple their warriors. The humans were not scared. They were amused, and worse, they were confident. I compiled all of this into a report and took it to Commander Thax. He looked even worse than I felt, his skin having gone that pale shade of blue that indicated extreme stress. "Commander, you need to see this." He watched the videos in silence. Watched the humans laughing. Watched their analysts explaining our weakness. When the feed finished, he looked at me with an expression I had never seen before. "Fear. Brooks, how did we miss this?" "We did not miss it, sir," I reported. "The gravitational differential. We underestimated what it would mean in practice." "What do we do now?" That was a good question. The honest answer was that we should leave, immediately, forget Earth existed, strike it from our charts and never speak of it again. But I knew High Command. They had already committed resources to this conquest. They had already announced to the other Council species that Earth would be ours. Retreat was not an option they would consider. "We need better equipment," I said finally. "Exosuits designed specifically for high-gravity environments. Enhanced skeletal support systems. Maybe artificial gravity dampeners." "How long will that take?" "To design, test, and manufacture. At least 8 months." This made a sound deep in his thorax that indicated profound displeasure. "High Command will not accept that timeline." "Then High Command is welcome to come down to Earth themselves and see how they fare." That was probably insubordinate, but Thax did not reprimand me. He just nodded slowly. "Send your recommendations to the Engineering Corps. In the meantime, we maintain our position and observe. We need to learn everything we can about these humans." So that is what we did. For the next month, we watched, and the more we watched, the more concerned I became. See, the humans were not just laughing at us. They were preparing. Their military forces went on high alert. Their scientists started working on detection systems to find our stealth ships. Their governments began coordinating in ways we had never seen them do before, and they started training. I watched surveillance footage of human soldiers doing exercises. They would put on weighted vests and run for miles. They would lift heavy objects repeatedly, building muscle mass. They sparred with each other, using their natural strength enhanced by technique and aggression. One video in particular stuck with me. A human female, barely into adulthood by their standards, performing what they called a deadlift. She lifted a weight that massed over 200 kilograms, lifted it like it was nothing, smiled at the camera, set it down gently. Lieutenant Kryn, our elite warrior, massed 80 kilograms, and Earth's gravity had snapped her bones like dried twigs. "Ritz," came a voice behind me. I turned to find Sergeant Plix, one of the few other voices of caution in the fleet. "Have you been watching the humans train?" "Yes. It is deeply unsettling." "Unsettling?" He made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Varix, it is terrifying. Do you know what I saw yesterday? A human adolescent, a child by their standards, engaging in what they call wrestling practice. He lifted another human his own size and threw him to the ground. For fun, for sport. I know. We cannot fight them hand to hand, we simply cannot. In their gravity we are helpless. They are stronger, faster, more resilient, and Reeks, I think they know it now." He was right, of course. The humans absolutely knew it. I had been monitoring their military communications, the ones they did not bother to encrypt properly. They were discussing tactics, how to board our ships, how to fight in zero-gravity or low-gravity environments where their strength would be even more overwhelming. They were not planning to defend Earth anymore. They were planning to counterattack. I reported this to Commander Thax, who reported it to High Command, who promptly declared that I was being paranoid and that the humans were primitive and no threat to the Empire. 2 weeks after that assessment, 3 human spacecraft launched from Earth. Now I should clarify. These were not warships. The humans did not have warships. These were converted cargo vessels, crude and inelegant, barely space-worthy by our standards. They used chemical propulsion, for God's sake. They were slow and awkward and should have been easy targets. Should have been. The lead ship was designated Hope by the humans. It was carrying a crew of 12, all military personnel, all volunteers. Their mission statement, which they broadcast openly for anyone to hear, was simple. They were coming to talk. "Do not allow them to approach," High Command ordered. "Maintain defensive posture. If they continue on intercept course, destroy them." Commander Thax looked sick. "High Command, they are requesting diplomatic contact. They are unarmed civilians making a peaceful overture. They are primitives who humiliated the Empire. They do not get to dictate terms. Destroy them if they approach. I watched on the tactical display as the Hope continued its trajectory toward our fleet. Slowly, painfully slowly, using gravity assists and careful burns to match our orbit. It would take them 6 days to reach us at their current speed. Commander, I said quietly. What if we just listen to them? You heard High Command, Vrix? Yes, sir, but what if High Command is wrong? The bridge went silent. That was not something you said in the Kalthoran military. High Command was never wrong. High Command was infallible. Questioning High Command was, well, it was the kind thing that ended careers, or lives. But Thax did not immediately have me arrested. He just looked at me with those 4 tired eyes and said, "What do you suggest? Let them approach, hear what they have to say. At worst we learn something about human psychology and intentions. At best we might avoid unnecessary conflict. And if High Command finds out, then tell them I acted without authorization. Say I am a rogue element. I will accept the consequences." Looking back, that was probably the bravest thing I ever did. Also the stupidest. But Thax considered it for a long moment, then nodded. All right, contact the human vessel. Tell them they may approach for diplomatic dialogue. The response came back within minutes. A human voice, male, speaking in their primary language, which our translators converted. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the vessel Hope. Thank you for agreeing to meet. We come in peace and wish to establish constructive dialogue between our species. Captain Jake Morrison. I would come to know that name very well in the coming months. The Hope docked with our command ship 4 days later. We met them in Docking Bay 7, which we had depressurized and set to Earth normal gravity. The artificial gravity generators struggled with the higher setting, using considerable power, but we managed. Commander Thax and I waited as the airlock cycled. I was nervous, which was reasonable. These were the beings whose planet had broken our soldiers. We were about to meet them face to face. The airlock opened, and they walked in. By all the gods of the old homeworld, they walked in. No exosuits, no support systems, just simple spacesuits, the kind you might use for a brief excursion, and they moved through one gravity as if it were nothing, as if they were born to it, which, I suppose, they were. Captain Morrison removed his helmet. He was tall by human standards, over 1.8 meters, with brown skin and dark eyes. He looked at us, evaluated us, and smiled. Commander Thax, Analyst Vrix, thank you for meeting with us. How do you know our names? Thax asked. We have been monitoring your communications. Your encryption is, well, it is good by our standards, but we got some help. Morrison gestured to another human, a female with red hair. This is Dr. Elizabeth Parker. She is a linguist and cryptographer. She has been working very hard to understand your language. You broke our encryption, Thax said flatly. We did. Morrison did not look apologetic. We needed to understand your intentions. After your soldiers tried to land in our capital, we figured we needed to know what you were planning next. That was a peaceful first contact mission, Thax said, which was a lie, and we all knew it. Morrison's smile did not waver. Commander, respectfully, no, it was not. We have recordings of your internal communications. We know you came to conquer. What we do not know is whether you still intend to try. The directness was shocking. In Kalthoran culture, we approached such matters obliquely, with layers of implication and subtlety, but Morrison just laid it out there, plain as the stars outside. The Kalthoran Empire does not negotiate with primitive species, Thax said, falling back on doctrine. Primitive. Morrison repeated the word. Commander, we may not have faster-than-light travel yet, but we are hardly primitive. We have split the atom, we have computers, we have reached our moon and sent probes to every planet in our solar system, and, as you discovered, we have gravity. Your point? My point is that you made assumptions about us based on our technology level. That was a mistake. You assumed conquest would be easy. That was a bigger mistake. And if you continue down this path, if you try to invade Earth, it will be the last mistake your empire ever makes. The threat was delivered calmly, almost casually, but it hung in the air like a blade. You cannot threaten the Kalthoran Empire, Thax said, but his voice lacked conviction. I am not threatening, Morrison replied. I am stating facts. Commander, your soldiers could not stand in our gravity. How do you propose to fight a ground war? How do you propose to occupy cities? How do you propose to control a population of 8 billion people who are each and every one of them stronger than your best warriors? Thax had no answer. Neither did I. Morrison continued, but here is what concerns me more. Your empire has conquered 47 worlds. We know this because we decoded your historical databases. 47 civilizations crushed under your military might. How many of those were high-gravity worlds? None, I said quietly. Exactly. Morrison looked at me directly. You are Vrix, correct? The analyst who tried to warn them about the gravity. I am. Thank you for trying. Seriously, if your commanders had listened to you, maybe we could have avoided the unpleasantness with your landing party. How are they, by the way, your injured soldiers? Recovering, I said, slowly. Good. We did not want anyone hurt. We were just as surprised as you were when they started dropping. Morrison pulled out a small device from his suit pocket. Dr. Parker, if you would. The red-haired human activated a holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy, highlighting worlds by their gravity. This is what we have figured out about your empire, Dr. Parker said. Her voice was softer than Morrison's, but no less confident. You conquer low-gravity worlds because that is where you have the advantage. Anywhere between 6 and 7 meters per second squared, you are the apex predator. Your technology, your tactics, everything is optimized for that range. But, Morrison picked up the thread, there are thousands of high-gravity worlds out there, worlds like Earth, or even heavier. And until now you have ignored them because you assumed they were either uninhabited or not worth the effort. But that calculation just changed. How? Thax asked. Because now you know that high-gravity species exist, and now you know they can hurt you. And now you are wondering, how many other worlds out there have inhabitants who could crush your soldiers the way Earth's gravity did? The silence stretched. Morrison was right, and we all knew it. The Empire's entire military doctrine was based on facing enemies from similar gravity environments. We had never considered what would happen if we encountered species evolved in heavier gravity. So here is our proposal, Morrison said. Earth does not want war. We are not interested in conquest or revenge, but we also will not be conquered, so we are offering an alternative. Trade, knowledge exchange, peaceful coexistence. You leave us alone, we leave you alone, and maybe we all learn something from each other. And if we refuse? The Thax asked. Morrison's smile faded. Then we defend ourselves. And Commander, you really do not want to see what humans are capable of when we defend ourselves. We have spent our entire history fighting each other. We are very, very good at it. The only reason we have not destroyed ourselves is because we keep deciding cooperation is more beneficial than annihilation. But if you force us to fight, we will. And in our gravity, with our strength, wearing equipment designed for our environment, your soldiers will not stand a chance. He let that sink in, then continued. But it will not stop there. See, humans are creative. We adapt. We will figure out how to fight you in space, in low gravity, anywhere we need to. We will reverse engineer your technology. We will build weapons specifically designed to kill Kalthorans. And once we start, once you make us into your enemy, we will not stop until either you are gone or we are. That is just how humans work. The terrifying thing was, I believed him completely. Commander Thax looked at Morrison for a long moment, then at Dr. Parker, then at me. I gave the smallest nod I could manage. I will take your proposal to High Command, Thax said finally. That is all we ask, Morrison said. But Commander, please make them understand. Earth is not a prize to be won, it is a partner to be respected, or an enemy to be feared. The choice is yours. The humans left shortly after that, returning to their hope and beginning their long journey back to Earth. Commander Thax and I stood in the docking bay long after they had gone. They will never agree, Thax said. High Command will never accept terms from primitives. Then High Command is going to learn a very hard lesson about underestimating species based on their technology level. What do we do, Vrix? I looked out at the stars, at the blue planet hanging in space below us. We do what we should have done from the beginning. Sir. We tell the truth, all of it, and we let High Command make their decision with full information. They will order an invasion anyway. Probably, I agreed, but at least we will have tried. And when it goes wrong, when the humans fight back and our soldiers are broken and bleeding, at least we will have the cold comfort of knowing we warned them. Thax made that sound in his thorax again. You paint a grim picture of the future, analyst. Sir, I am just extrapolating from available data. The data says we are about to make the biggest mistake in Kaltharan history, and there is nothing we can do to stop it. I thought about Captain Jake Morrison and his calm delivery of absolute truths. I thought about the human female lifting 200 kilograms like it was a toy. I thought about our broken soldiers and their shattered bones. No, sir, I said. I do not think there is. High Command's response arrived exactly 3 days after we transmitted our full report. 3 days of waiting, of watching Earth's transmissions, of seeing the humans prepare for a war they hoped would not come but knew probably would. The message was brief, encoded in priority alpha protocols, which meant it came directly from the Supreme Executor himself. Commander Thax read it aloud on the bridge, his voice getting quieter with each word. Your analysis has been reviewed and dismissed as alarmist. The gravity issue is acknowledged but not considered insurmountable. Enhanced equipment is being fast-tracked. You are ordered to maintain position and prepare for Phase 2 operations. Ground invasion will commence in 45 days. Glory to the Empire. Glory to the Empire, the bridge crew responded automatically. All except me. I was too busy calculating how many soldiers were going to die. Brix, Thax said quietly. My ready room, now. I followed him into the small private space. He locked the door, disabled the surveillance systems, which was highly irregular, and then just stood there for a moment, all 4 eyes closed. They are going to kill us all, he said finally. Yes, sir. Probably. You saw what Morrison said about humans being good at fighting, about them adapting. I did, sir. Do you think he was bluffing? I pulled up my datapad and showed him what I had been compiling. Human history files translated and analyzed. Sir, in the last 500 years, humans have fought 2 massive planetary wars. They call them World War I and World War II. In the second one, they killed over 70 million of their own species. They developed weapons that can obliterate entire cities. They created flying machines specifically designed to drop explosives on populated areas. They built submarines that can hide underwater for months. They invented radar, sonar, guided missiles, and nuclear fission bombs, all while fighting each other. Thax stared at the data. They did this to themselves. Yes, sir. And then they stopped, looked at what they had created, and decided that working together was preferable to mutual annihilation. But, sir, the capability is still there. The knowledge is still there. The industrial capacity is still there. If we invade, they will turn all of that creative violence toward us. What do you recommend? Mutiny, I said flatly. Thax's eyes went wide. Excuse me? We refuse the order. We tell High Command that we will not participate in a suicide mission. We break with the Empire if necessary. Sir, I have been doing calculations. With the humans' strength advantage and their defensive position, we would need to commit at least 70% of the Imperial fleet to have a reasonable chance of success. Even then, casualties would be catastrophic, and that assumes they do not have weapons we have not seen yet. They are primitives who still use chemical rockets, Thax said, but his heart was not in it. They are primitives who split the atom, sir, who harnessed nuclear fusion, who created artificial intelligence systems and quantum computing. They may not have our propulsion technology, but they have plenty of other technologies we do not, and 45 days is enough time for them to weaponize a lot of it. Thax sat down heavily. We cannot refuse High Command. It would mean death for both of us, and they would just send someone else to complete the mission. Then we do what we can. We prepare, we gather intelligence, and we try to minimize casualties on both sides when this inevitably goes wrong. You sound like you are hoping we lose. Sir, I am hoping we wake up and realize that conquering Earth is impossible. But since that seems unlikely, yes, I suppose I am hoping we lose quickly rather than dragging this out into a prolonged bloodbath. Thax made a sound that might have been agreement or despair. Hard to tell with Kaltharan sometimes. Over the next 45 days I watched the humans prepare for war, and it was both fascinating and terrifying. They were coordinating globally now, something they had never done before. The Americans were sharing military technology with the Russians. The Chinese were collaborating with the Europeans. Ancient enemies were setting aside their differences because, As one human diplomat put it, when aliens try to invade, suddenly our local disagreements seem pretty damn petty. They were building weapons. Lots of weapons. They took their existing missile systems and modified them for space combat. They strapped warheads onto their orbital satellites. They built railguns using electromagnetic acceleration, crude compared to our plasma weapons, but frighteningly effective at the velocities they achieved. And they were training thousands of soldiers, volunteers, everyone preparing to fight in zero gravity. They built simulation chambers. They studied our few public transmissions to understand Calthuran physiology. They were identifying weak points, developing tactics, creating entire combat doctrines around fighting low-gravity species. I reported all of this to Commander Thax daily. He looked more haggard each time. But the thing that really caught my attention was a project the humans called Operation Anvil. It was mentioned in encrypted communications, always briefly, always carefully. I spent 2 weeks trying to figure out what it was. Finally, I cracked it. And immediately wished I had not. "Sir," I said, bursting into Thax's ready room. "Sir, you need to see this." "What now, Vrex?" "Operation Anvil. I figured out what it is. An end. They are building drop pods, sir. Human drop pods. Heavily armored capsules designed to launch from Earth and intercept our fleet. Each one carries 6 soldiers in specialized combat suits. So, we have point defense systems. Sir, they are coating the pods in ablative heat shielding and radar-absorbing materials. They are making them small, fast, and nearly invisible to our sensors. And sir, they are building 500 of them." Thax went very still. 500 pods, 6 soldiers each. That is 3,000 human soldiers. Yes, sir, 3,000 humans who evolved in high gravity, trained for combat, equipped with weapons designed to fight us specifically, heading directly for our ships. Sir, if they board us, we cannot fight them. In zero gravity or low gravity, they will be even stronger relative to us. They will tear through our ships like predators through prey. When do they launch? Unknown, but based on construction timelines, they could be ready in as little as 2 weeks. Thax pulled up the fleet roster. We had 40 ships in Earth orbit, crew complement of about 300 per ship, total of 12,000 Calthuran personnel. If 3,000 humans boarded us, and each human could overpower 5 or 6 Calthurans, which seemed conservative given what we had seen. "We are outnumbered," Thax said quietly. "In terms of effective combat strength, yes, sir. We are badly outnumbered. I need to report this to High Command. With respect, sir, I do not think it will matter. They have invested too much political capital in this conquest. They will not back down now." I was right. High Command's response was to accelerate the timeline. The invasion was moved up to 20 days from now. Enhanced exosuits were being shipped from the nearest Imperial outpost, along with additional ground forces. We were going to do this whether it made sense or not. The enhanced exosuits arrived 15 days before the invasion. They were impressive pieces of technology. I had to admit. Powered hydraulics, structural reinforcements, gravity compensators built into every joint. The engineers promised they could handle up to 15 meters per second squared. We tested them in our onboard gravity chambers. They worked perfectly. Soldiers could walk, run, even fight in high gravity while wearing them. "T-Brex," Commander Thax said, watching the tests. "Maybe you were wrong to worry." "Maybe, sir. But we are testing them in controlled environments. Earth is not a controlled environment. You worry too much, analyst." I was getting tired of hearing that. 10 days before the invasion, Captain Jake Morrison contacted us again. The Hope had returned to Earth, but the humans had built a communication relay system. Morrison's face appeared on our screens, looking older and more tired than before. "Commander Thax, this is your last chance to avoid bloodshed. We know you are preparing to invade. We are asking you one last time to reconsider. The decision has been made," Thax said stiffly. "Earth will be brought into the Empire. Then you leave us no choice." Morrison's expression was sad. "Commander, I genuinely wish things could have been different. But if you come to Earth, if you land troops on our soil, we will fight, and you will lose. I am not boasting. I am not threatening. I am stating a simple fact. You will lose. We have enhanced equipment now. Your gravity advantage is neutralized." "Is it?" Morrison leaned forward. Commander, let me tell you something about humans. We have a saying, it takes a worried man to sing a worried song. Do you know what that means? It means the people who are most concerned, most cautious, most aware of danger, those are the ones who survive. Your analyst Vruix, he is singing a worried song. You should listen to him. Rickus is overly cautious, Lex said, but he glanced at me. Rix is the smartest Calthoran in your fleet, Morrison said, and I am betting that after we are done he will be the one writing the reports about what went wrong. Make sure he mentions that we tried, that we offered peace, that we did everything we could to avoid this. The transmission ended.
He's trying to get in our heads, Thax said.
It is working, I replied. 5 days before the invasion, I detected the first human launch. Not Operation Anvil, not yet. This was something else. A single ship, larger than the Hope, accelerating hard out of Earth's atmosphere. Sir, we have a human vessel launching. Track it. Weapons hot. Sir, it is not heading toward us. It is heading, wait, it is heading for Mars. Mars? Why? We watched as the ship, which the humans had designated Pathfinder, made its way to the Red Planet. It took them 3 days. When they arrived, they deployed a communications array and started broadcasting. The message was in Calthoran and 57 other languages. It was a declaration of independence, a statement of intent, and a warning all rolled into one. To all spacefaring species, this is Earth calling. We are humanity, and we are claiming our solar system as sovereign territory. Any attempt to invade, conquer, or colonize our space will be met with force. We seek peace, but we are prepared for war. For the Calthoran Empire specifically, you have 3 days to withdraw. After that, we will consider any Calthoran vessel in our space an act of war. This is your only warning. They are bluffing, Thax said. They cannot enforce that claim. They barely have spacecraft. Sir, they just sent a ship to Mars in 3 days. Our estimates said they could not achieve that kind of velocity with chemical propulsion. Then they have better engines than we thought. Or they have been holding back, sir, showing us only what they wanted us to see. 3 days before the invasion, Operation Anvil launched. We detected them as they left Earth's atmosphere. 500 pods, just as I had predicted, accelerating at rates that should have been impossible for human technology. They were using some kind of mass driver system, electromagnetic catapults that hurled the pods into space at tremendous velocities. Defensive positions, Thax ordered. All ships, activate point defense systems. Shoot down those pods. We tried. We really did. Our plasma cannons lit up space, filling the void between Earth and our fleet with superheated death. We destroyed 17 pods in the first wave, but there were 493 remaining, and they were coming fast. They are splitting up, the tactical officer shouted. Multiple trajectories, evasive maneuvers. They are making themselves harder to target. Keep firing. We destroyed another 34 pods, but the rest reached us, and when they did, everything went wrong very quickly. The first pod hit the destroyer Vengeance. It did not dock gently. It did not request permission. It punched straight through the hull using shaped explosive charges, creating a breach, and 6 humans in combat armor came pouring through. I watched the security feeds. The Calthoran crew tried to fight. They had weapons, training, and the home field advantage. It did not matter. The humans moved through the ship like nightmares. In zero gravity, they were impossibly fast and strong. They used their legs to launch themselves down corridors, their momentum carrying them forward while their hands wielded weapons. They fought with a ferocity that was shocking to witness. One human, a female soldier whose suit identified her as Sergeant Linda Hayes, encountered 8 Calthoran security officers in a corridor. The Calthorans opened fire. She took 3 plasma bolts to her armor, which held, and then she was among them. She grabbed the first soldier and used him as a club to beat down 2 others. She crushed another's skull with her armored fist. The remaining 4 tried to flee. She caught them, one by one, moving through zero gravity like it was her natural element. The entire encounter took less than 90 seconds. Sir, I said, my voice shaking, the Vengeance has been boarded. Crew is reporting heavy casualties. Humans are moving toward the bridge. Send reinforcements from the adjacent ships. Sir, adjacent ships are also being boarded. We have, I count, 47 successful boarding actions across the fleet. 47 ships. Out of 50 total, the humans had bypassed our defenses and were inside our vessels, and there was nothing we could do to stop them. All ships, abandon the Vengeance and any other compromised vessels. Get to the escape pods. But escape pods in space are vulnerable, slow-moving targets, and the humans were not interested in escape pods anyway. They wanted our ship. I watched, helpless, as the Vengeance went dark. All its systems shut down except life support and communications. Then a voice came over the fleet-wide channel, Sergeant Hayes. Attention, Calthoran Fleet. This vessel is now under human control. We have secured the bridge and engineering. Your crew is alive but detained. You have one chance to surrender peacefully. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. If you resist, we will take your ships by force. Choose wisely. This is outrageous. Commander Thax shouted, "We are the Calthoran Empire. We do not surrender to primitives." "Commander," I said quietly, "we have already lost. Look at the tactical display." He looked. 47 ships boarded. 17 more actively engaged with incoming human pods. Only 6 ships remained uncompromised, including our flagship, and even as we watched, 3 more pods were heading our way. "How did we lose?" Tess asked, and he sounded genuinely confused. "We have superior technology. We have trained soldiers. How did we lose?" "We brought technology to a strength fight, sir, and they are stronger than us. We brought doctrine designed for low-gravity enemies, and they are high-gravity apex predators. We brought arrogance, and they brought desperation and ingenuity, and a willingness to do whatever it takes to protect their home." The pods hit our flagship. I felt the impact through the deck plating. Alarms blared. Security teams rushed to intercept. "Grit," Thax said. "I want you to go to the secure data room. Take all of our research, all of your analysis, everything we have learned about Earth and humanity. Save it. When this is over, when High Command wants to know what went wrong, you will need evidence." "Sir, what about you?" "I am going to do something I should have done 45 days ago. I am going to surrender." He opened a fleet-wide channel. "All Calthoran vessels, this is Commander Thax. I am ordering a full stand-down. Power down weapons. Do not engage the human boarding parties. We are surrendering to Earth forces effective immediately." The response from High Command was instantaneous and furious. "Commander Thax, you are relieved of duty. This is a disgraceful cowardice. You will be court-martialed." "Probably," Thax agreed, "but at least my soldiers will be alive for the trial." Thax said. He closed the channel and looked at me. "Go, Vix. Preserve the data. Someone needs to learn from this disaster." I gathered everything I could carry and headed for the secure data room. Along the way I encountered one of the human boarding parties. They were moving methodically through the ship, checking compartments, securing corridors. When they saw me they raised their weapons. I raised all 4 of my hands in surrender. "Do not shoot," I said in my best human English. "I am unarmed. I am a non-combatant. I am the analyst who tried to warn them about the gravity." The lead human, his suit identified him as Lieutenant Marcus Webb, lowered his weapon slightly. "You are Vrex, the one Captain Morrison mentioned?" "Yes, I am Brix. Captain Morrison said, if we encountered you, we should treat you with respect. Said you were one of the smart ones. I tried to prevent this. We know, we intercepted your communications. You tried real hard." Webb gestured to his team. "Let him through. He is not a threat." I made it to the data room, secured everything, and then returned to the bridge. The humans had already taken control. Commander Thax was sitting in his command chair, looking exhausted, but unhurt. Captain Jake Morrison was there too, apparently having come up from Earth specifically for this. "Analyst Vrix," Morrison said when he saw me. "Good to see you survived. What happens now?" I asked. "Now we talk. Properly this time." Morrison pulled up a holographic display showing the entire fleet. "We have secured 49 of your ships. The remaining vessels self-destructed rather than surrender. Total Calthoran casualties, about 400 dead, 2,000 wounded. Could have been much worse." "And your casualties?" 73 dead, 212 wounded, mostly from ships that resisted." I did the math in my head. The humans had lost less than 3% of their force while taking our entire fleet. It was not a battle. It was not even a fight. It was an execution. "What do you want from us?" Commander Thax asked. Morrison sat down across from him. We want you to go home. Take your ships, take your wounded, and go back to your empire. Tell High Command what happened here. Tell them that Earth is off limits. Tell them that any future attempts to invade will end the same way. They will not believe us. They will think we are cowards or traitors. Then bring evidence. Morrison gestured to me. Rix has data. Combat recordings, medical reports, proof of everything that happened. Show them what humans can do. Show them why conquering high-gravity worlds is a bad idea. They will court-martial us. Probably, but you will be alive, and maybe, just maybe, you will save some other commander from making the same mistake. Thax was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. What about our ships? You said we could take them. With some modifications, we are going to install monitoring systems. Transponders that will let us track your vessels. Insurance policy, you understand. If you come back with hostile intent, we will know. You are letting us go but keeping us on a leash. Would you prefer we keep the ships and send you home in your underwear? Morrison asked with a slight smile. Because we can do that too. The leash will suffice. It took 3 days to transfer the wounded, make the necessary modifications to our ships, and complete the official surrender documents. During that time, I had a chance to talk with some of the human soldiers. Sergeant Linda Hayes, the terrifying warrior I had watched tear through 8 Calthorans, turned out to be surprisingly friendly when not in combat. She was from a place called Texas, and had been a school teacher before joining the military. A teacher? I asked, incredulous. You taught children. 5th grade math, she confirmed. I am real good at explaining fractions. But you, I saw you killed trained soldiers with your bare hands. Well, sure, but that is just because of the gravity thing. Back home, I am pretty average. There are folks way stronger than me. Professional athletes, construction workers, farmers. Heck, my grandma could probably take down a couple of your soldiers, and she is 73 years old. Your grandmother. Yep, she works a ranch, throws hay bales that mass about 30 kilograms each. Does it all day long? Hayes shrugged. When you grow up in one gravity, you do not really think about how it affects you. It is just normal. I thought about that. About an entire species where every individual, from children to the elderly, was stronger than our elite warriors. About a planet where the very ground beneath your feet was a weapon. You know what is funny? Hayes continued. We were scared of you guys. Before the invasion, everyone was panicking. Aliens with spaceships and energy weapons, and who knows what else. We thought you were going to wipe us out. We thought we were going to wipe you out, I said. Yeah, well, turns out we were both wrong. You could not handle our gravity and we adapted faster than you expected. Funny how things work out. Hilarious, I said dryly. On the day we departed, Captain Morrison came to see Commander Thax and me one last time. Before you go, I want to give you something. He handed Thax a data chip. That contains our official proposal for peaceful relations between Earth and the Caltharan Empire, trade agreements, cultural exchange programs, scientific collaboration, everything we tried to offer before you invaded. You still want to be allies? After we attacked you? We want to not be enemies, Morrison corrected. There is a difference. Look, your empire has conquered a lot of worlds. You have technology we could benefit from. We have perspective you might find useful. High-gravity world perspective, specifically. There are probably other species out there like us. Wouldn't it be useful to have allies who understand how to deal with them? You want us to hire you as mercenaries, I said. Morrison laughed. More like consultants. But yeah, basically, we will teach you how to fight high-gravity species. You stop trying to conquer us. Everybody wins. High Command will never agree. High Command just lost an entire fleet to primitives who still use chemical rockets. I am betting they are going to be a lot more open-minded than they were a week ago. Morrison extended his hand to Thax. Safe travels, Commander. I hope the next time we meet, it is under better circumstances. Thax looked at the hand, understanding the human gesture of peace, and grasped it. I hope we do not meet again at all, Captain. No offense. None taken. We left Earth's orbit 8 hours later, our battered fleet limping back toward Caltharan space. I spent most of the journey writing my report, documenting everything that had happened, everything we had learned. The humans had defeated us without ever setting foot on one of our worlds. They had taken our fleet with minimal casualties. They had demonstrated strength, tactical brilliance, and mercy, and then they had let us go with a warning and an offer of friendship. It was brilliant. It was terrifying. It was so very, very human. Commander Thax was right about one thing. We were court-martialed. Both of us, charged with cowardice, dereliction of duty, and conduct unbecoming of imperial officers. But here is the funny thing about being right when everyone else is wrong. Eventually someone listens. My report was entered into evidence. The combat recordings were shown to the military tribunal. The medical data on our casualties was reviewed. And slowly, reluctantly, painfully, the Empire began to understand what had happened. Earth was not an outlier. There were dozens of high-gravity worlds in our sector alone, hundreds across the galaxy, and we had been ignoring them because they did not fit our tactical doctrine. That was about to change. 3 months after the trial, I was reinstated to my position, not as an analyst, but as head of a new department, the High-Gravity Warfare Studies Institute. My job was to figure out how to fight species like humans, or better yet, how to make sure we never had to. Commander Thax was reassigned too. They made him an ambassador. His first posting, Earth. I saw him off before he left. He looked older, grayer, more tired than I had ever seen him. They are punishing us, he said, making me go back there. Or they are using your experience. You know the humans. You understand them better than anyone else in the Empire. I understand that they are terrifying and that we are very lucky they decided to be merciful. That too. Vrix, what if we encounter another species like them? What if the next high-gravity world we find is not interest in peace? I thought about Sergeant Hayes and her grandmother throwing hay bales. I thought about Captain Morrison calmly explaining how humans would destroy us if necessary. I thought about 3,000 soldiers taking our entire fleet in less than 4 hours. Then we run, I said simply. We run very fast and very far, and we hope they do not follow. Thax made that sound in his thorax again, the one that indicated profound distress. The Empire will not accept that. The Empire lost 47 ships to primitives who still use chemical rockets. The Empire is going to have to accept a lot of things it does not like. 6 months later, the treaty was signed. The Kalthoran Empire and Earth established formal diplomatic relations, trade routes were opened, cultural exchanges began, and most importantly, Earth agreed to serve as consultants on high-gravity warfare. Turns out Morrison was right. There were other species out there like humans, and having allies who understood them was extremely valuable. But I never forgot the lesson of Earth, never forgot watching our soldiers' bones snap under the weight of their own bodies, never forgot the look in Captain Morrison's eyes when he promised we would lose if we invaded. Overwhelming military superiority makes you stupid. It makes you arrogant. It makes you think you are invincible right up until the moment something proves you very, very wrong. The Kalthoran Empire conquered 47 worlds, and then we met Earth, and Earth conquered us without ever leaving their own orbit. They tested Earth's gravity, and their soldiers' bones snapped instantly. And that should have been the end of it, but it was not. It was just the beginning of a very different kind of relationship, one based on respect, caution, and a healthy understanding that there are species in this galaxy that you do not mess with. Humans are one of them. And now, thanks to our alliance, the Empire has learned that lesson without losing too many more ships in the process. I still work at the High-Gravity Warfare Studies Institute. I still compile reports and analyze data. But now I do it with the understanding that sometimes the best warfare is the kind you avoid entirely. And every time I look at the gravitational readings from a new planet, every time I see those numbers climb above 8 meters per second squared, I think about Earth. And I recommend we establish peaceful contact first, overwhelming force never. Because I learned something important during those disastrous weeks. I learned that gravity is not just a number, it is a weapon, it is a teacher, it is a fundamental truth about how species develop and what they are capable of. And I learned that underestimating species based on their technology level is a mistake you only get to make once. If you are lucky, we were lucky, Earth was merciful. The next high-gravity species might not be. So I write my reports, and I give my lectures, and I tell the story of how the Kalthoran Empire tested Earth's gravity and lost an entire fleet in 4 hours. And I hope desperately that future generations are smarter than we were, that they listen to the analysts who sing worried songs, that they understand what I learned the hard way, that sometimes the primitives win. And when they do, you better hope they are feeling generous, because gravity does not care about your superior technology. It does not care about your military doctrine. It does not care about your pride or your empire or your legacy of conquest. Gravity just is. And on Earth, gravity is a weapon that humans have been training with since birth. Every single day. For their entire evolutionary history. We never had a chance. And now, thanks to the treaty, we do not have to fight them anyway. Which, honestly, is the smartest decision the Empire has made